All right, this is 6.4. So 6.4 is just putting everything together that we've talked about. So this is solving triangles, which just means you're given 3 pieces of information, okay? Whether that's 2 sides and an included angle, all 3 sides, 2 sides and a non-included angle. You're given 3 pieces of information out of 6, okay? There are 3 sides and 3 angles. So you use that information to find all of the other pieces. So when you're done, you will have found 3 additional things. They gave you half of them, you find the other half. Whether or not you need to use the law of sines or the law of cosines is dependent on the information that's given to you. So that's the biggest thing, is you have to figure out where to start. The easiest way, I'm going to give you a bunch of like side, angle, side, all that stuff. But the best way to do it is look at the 3 things they gave you. Do any of them match? Do you have an angle A and a side A? Do you have an angle B and a side B? Because if you have something that matches, then you automatically get to use the law of sines. If nothing matches, then you need to use the law of cosines. It's really that simple. If it matches, use the law of sines. If it doesn't match, use the law of cosines. So there's all this stuff, okay? So when we had side, angle, side, okay, 2 sides and the included angle, you had to use the law of cosines. When you had 3 sides, you didn't have a choice either. You have to use the law of cosines. Okay, if all you know are all 3 sides, you obviously don't have anything that matches. You have to use the law of cosines. When we have side, side, angle, we can use the law of sines because something is going to match. And same thing with angle, angle, side, we're going to use the law of sines. We don't need to draw the triangle out and figure all that out. Just, do you have 2 letters that are the same or not? Okay, simplify it as much as possible. Solving for the triangle means finding all the missing pieces using whichever method needed. So typically, like if we need to start with the law of cosines, you should only really have to use it once, and then you'll have a matching pair after that, and then you can use the law of sines. So you're going to use multiple things to get there. So hopefully you only have to use the law of cosines once. So determine which one you need to use, whether you need to start with the law of cosines or the law of sines. And then once you have 2 angles, you can always find the third by subtracting it from 180. So you shouldn't have to do a specific formula to find the third angle, okay? So this says, solve for the triangle, side A or side B is 8, side C is 7, and the angle A is 28. So if you look here, just look at the letters, B, C, A. None of them match, so you have to start with the law of cosines. You do not have an option. So with that, we're going to find side A. So we're going to find our third side. So A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. Okay? So B is 8, so we have 8 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 8 times 7 times the cosine of 28. And that's going to give us A squared. Okay? So we put that whole thing on the right-hand side into the calculator at once. 8 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 8 times 7 times the cosine of 28. And you get 14.109, blah, 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 blah. Second square root, second answer, because that's A squared, and we're going to round sides to the nearest 10th, angles to the nearest whole number. So this is a side, so we get 3.8. Okay. All right, so there's one of our pieces. We need to find 2 more. I have side A and angle A now, so now I have a matching set. So that means now I can use the law of sines. So sine of 28 over 3.8. There's my angle A and side A now match. Equals, it doesn't matter, we have to find both other angles, so we'll just do B first. So we'll do sine of B over side B, which is 8. Okay? You're cross multiplying, so that's 8 times the sine of 28 equals 3.8 times the sine of B. Okay? So multiply 8 times the sine of 28 divide it by 3.8, and then second sign, second answer. So we're getting 81.24. I said we're going to do these angles to the nearest whole number. So we're going to say that angle B is 81 degrees. Okay. Now you have two angles, so you just find the third angle by subtracting them from 180. So all you have to do now is 180 minus 28 minus 81. So 180 minus 28 minus 81 is 71. So angle C is 71 degrees. Now you know all of the pieces of the triangle. We were given 3 pieces and we found 3 pieces. Okay, so that's solving for the triangle. We know everything there is to know about that triangle. That's it. Let's look at this one. We have side A, side B, and side C. I know all 3 sides, which means none of them match. So I have to start with my law of cosines. It does not matter what you find first, okay? But we have to find an angle. So I'm going to do cosine A, okay? If I'm looking for side or angle A, then side A is the one that gets subtracted, if you remember that. So that's B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC, okay? So B is 16, so 16 squared plus 19 squared minus 10 squared over 2 times 16 times 19. So remember, if you want to do this, that's fine. You just have to put the top in parentheses and the bottom in parentheses. So we're going to do 16 squared plus 19 squared minus 10 squared, all in parentheses, divided by, new set of parentheses, 2 times 16 times 19. That's the cosine of your angle. So right now we know that the cosine of angle A is 0.85, blah, 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 blah. So then you second cosine, second answer. And we're rounding to the nearest whole number, so that's going to be 32 degrees. You get 31.7. Okay, so there is angle A. Now we have angle A and side A, so now we have matching numbers, so now we can use the law of sines. So we are going to do the sine of 32 over 10, because that's side A. Again, it doesn't matter which angle you find next, so we'll just do B. Sine of B over little b, which is 16. Cross multiply, so you have 16 times the sine of 32 equals 10 times the sine of B. So 16 sine 32 divided by 10, okay, gives you 0.847. Second sine, second answer. Just be aware of what you're doing. Like if you're second signing it, second cosigning it, taking the square root, make sure you know. And nearest degree, so that we get like 57.9, so that's going to be 58 degrees. You do not have to do the law of sines again, because now you know 2 of the angles and you just need the third. So 180 minus 32 minus 58. So 180 minus 32 minus 58 is 90. So C is 90. Oops. 90. So we were given all 3 sides, so we had to find all 3 angles, and we need to use 3 different methods to get there. Okay, just got easier as we went. Okay, last one. This one, we're given A and B. So we have a matching set. So we get to start off with the law of sines. So the sine of A was just the sine of 40 over side A, 7.5, equals the sine of B over 10. So 10 sine 40 equals 7.5 sine B. 10 sine 40, 6.4 divided by 7.5 is the sine of your angle, so second sine, second answer, and round that to the nearest whole number because it's an angle, so it's going to be 59 degrees. Now, we know two angles, so we can find the third one by subtracting it from 180, which you need, because we need to find side C. So you can either use the law of cosines and find it, or you can find angle C first and then use it with the law of sines. So I think that's easier. So we're just going to start by finding the third angle right now. So 180 minus 40 minus 59. So 180 minus 40 minus 59 is 81. So angle C is 81 degrees, which means now I can use the law of sines again to find side C. So we still have our pair of A. So we have sine 40 over 7.5 equals, now I know angle C is 81. So that's the sine of 81 over little c. So then you cross multiply. So C sine 40 equals 7.5 sine 81. So I'm going to do 7.5 sine 81 and then divide it by the sine of 40. And that is just side C. You don't even have to do anything to it. And it's a side length, so we're going to go nearest 10th, which is going to be 11.5. And that's it. Found three things. Again, it was easier to find half of the C with the angle and then use the law of sines. So we didn't even have to use the law of cosines on that one because we were given two things that matched to start with. 6-4.